June 1st, 2025. A body turns up near a quiet road in Uttarakhand. 2 broken ribs, blunt trauma to the chest, dead before anyone even noticed. And then, the police checked nearby CCTV and spotted the victim's own car driving to the scene. So, if he was already dead, who was behind the wheel? And more importantly, who killed this man and why? Welcome to Criminally Curious. This is the tragic story of what happened recently in Moradabad, India, which might also nudge the memory of another recent crime, the Meghalaya murder case. But we will come to that point later. Last week of May 2025, Moradabad, India. Ravindra Kumar, a father of 2 children, suddenly disappeared without a trace. But this wasn't the kind of man who'd vanish without telling anyone. He was steady, predictable, and deeply rooted in his daily routine. And a 56-year-old local businessman, more than a decade ago, Ravindra had sold off his ancestral land in Rajokri, Delhi, and moved to Moradabad to start fresh. With that money, he purchased a spacious 3-story house in Ramganga Vihar, valued at over $350,000. The house wasn't just his home, it was his workplace too. From that same property, Ravindra ran a small but profitable business and earned a steady $1,500 per month through rentals. To most outsiders, it looked like he had built a peaceful, secure life. But there was more beneath the surface. Years earlier, Ravindra had gone through a painful divorce. He spent some time living quietly in Uttarakhand. And then, around 2007, he met someone who would change his life, Reena Sindhu. She was nearly 20 years younger, bold and vibrant. Despite the age gap, Ravindra fell in love. They married around 2010 and soon had 2 children together. From the outside, it looked like Ravindra had rebuilt his life. But soon, cracks would begin to show, and by the time he went missing, those cracks had already started to deepen. Reena Sindhu was a physiotherapist by profession. She ran a small clinic from the very house she shared with her husband, Ravindra. To the outside world, she was the picture of grace, soft-spoken, dependable, always ready to help. Her patients trusted her implicitly. Neighbors affectionately called her Didi, which means elder sister, a word that carried both warmth and respect. For over a decade, Reena and Ravindra had been married. On the surface, their life seemed settled, even serene. But behind closed doors, the cracks were deepening. Arguments had become a routine. And when Ravindra began pushing to sell the house, the very home that held Reena's clinic, tensions rose further. His unpredictable mood swings, the mounting financial pressures, and his need to control every decision slowly chipped away at Reena's peace of mind. Still, she smiled for the world. But inside, something had begun to shift. That's when Paritosh Kumar entered her life. Paritosh was a soft-spoken young man from Nagina, a small town in Bishnore district. He had come to Reena's clinic for treatment. Just another patient at first, but there was something different about him. He listened with care. He complimented without crossing lines. Most of all, he didn't judge. For the first time in years, Reena felt seen and heard. In Paritosh, she rediscovered a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. Being wanted, being heard. Their bond deepened quietly. To buy themselves time and cover, Reena introduced him to Ravindra as her Rocky brother. But what's that? A Rocky brother is any man a woman symbolically makes her brother by tying a sacred thread, called Rocky, on his wrist, forming a traditional platonic bond of trust and protection. This is not a biological bond, but a relationship of brother and sister based on Indian ritual. You see, it was a clever move, or so she thought. But soon, what began as emotional escape turned into something else, something darker. This wasn't just a forbidden connection anymore, it became a way out, and it wouldn't stop at only love. But Ravindra never saw it coming. On the evening of May 31st, 2025, Reena gently persuaded him to join a small, casual get-together at Paritosh's house. Just a quiet evening, she said, nothing to worry about. But behind that warm smile, something darker was already in motion. What Ravindra expected to be a normal night turned out to be a cold-blooded setup. As he sat comfortably, drink in hand, surrounded by people he thought he could trust, Paritosh quietly moved behind him, holding a long-handled shovel. The first blow came fast, shattering Ravindra's skull. The second crushed his ribs. There was no frenzy, no chaos, only calm, calculated violence. Every strike was deliberate. And Reena, she didn't flinch. She stood silently, watching, unmoved. Her silence wasn't confusion, it was basically consent. After the murder, together, they wrapped Ravindra's lifeless body in cloth, loaded it into his own Toyota Fortuner, and vanished into the night. Hours passed. The city lights gave way to empty roads. By dawn, they had reached a lonely stretch near Kotdwar, where they dumped the body in the bushes. Cold, unseen, forgotten. They abandoned the SUV in Noida, wiped their tracks clean, and melted back into the noise of everyday life, counting on the world to believe it was just another tragic accident. But no matter how foolproof a plan seems, every criminal makes a mistake. They always leave something behind. This time was no different. Tire tracks on a quiet road. Traces of evidence were hidden in the car. These were small details, but enough for investigators to start connecting the dots. Then came the big break, the abandoned Fortuner. Inside, they found Ravindra's wallet, his phone, and the most damning piece of all, the shovel, the weapon used to kill him. From here, the story began to unravel. Surveillance cameras picked up the SUV's route through several towns. Toll booth logs confirmed the timings. A guest house in Haridwar had records linking Reena to the scene. And then came the final blow, phone records. Both Reena and Paritosh were traced to Nagina the very night Ravindra disappeared. Piece by piece, the truth crept out of the shadows. And just like that, their carefully laid plan began to fall apart. If we look at the case from the police's point of view, it all started from early June 2025. Back at home, Ravindra's brother Rajesh was growing anxious since his brother hadn't come home. Calls went unanswered. No messages. Just silence. Rajesh couldn't wait any longer. He went to the police and filed a missing person report. On June 5th, a grim discovery surfaced. A man's body was found lying near the highway, brutally injured and unrecognizable. But inside his pocket, police recovered a hotel receipt, a wallet, and some personal belongings. Rajesh was called to identify the body, and with a heavy heart he confirmed the worst. It was his brother, Ravindra Kumar. The case was no longer a missing person. It had just turned into a murder investigation. The police got into work. They began retracing the SUV's movements, starting with that Kotdwar CCTV footage. Turns out, at early morning that day, a blue SUV rolled quietly through the sleepy roads of Kotdwar. The streets were empty, the town still waking up. Only one silent witness captured its movement, a CCTV camera at a crossroads. It recorded the SUV entering, and just minutes later, leaving. At first glance, it looked like nothing, but that short clip would soon become the key to unraveling this chilling crime. But Ravindra, he was already missing by that time. Then, who was driving his car? Meanwhile, more CCTV clips emerged. Toll booth logs confirmed its route. Parking slips added timestamps. And finally, they traced the vehicle to a parking lot in Noida. It had been abandoned there, quietly, on May 31st. The rest of the story we already told you that. When the police opened the SUV, what they found inside was disturbing. It was now crystal clear. This wasn't an accident. It was murder. But the next breakthrough came from the phones. The investigators checked Ravindra's wife Reena's call logs and location history. On June 5th, the same day Ravindra's body was found, Reena's phone pinged near Kotdwar. But she had told police she wasn't there that day. The police sensed that she was definitely trying to hide something. But what? Records showed Reena stayed at a guest house in Haridwar on May 26th, far from home. Meanwhile, Ravindra's phone had been traced to Nagina on May 31st, which was the hometown of Paritosh Kumar. So, it wasn't just a coincidence anymore. The pattern was clear: the hotel receipt from Ravindra's pocket, the mobile tower logs, the CCTV footage, the call records between Reena and Paritosh, especially on the day Ravindra vanished. Each piece fit like a puzzle. These digital footprints had built a rock-solid case. Finally, on June 21st, police located Reena and Paritosh in Nagina, and they were arrested immediately. But even with all this evidence, one haunting question remained. Why? What could push Reena to plan something so horrific? Ravindra Kumar himself wasn't some innocent man caught in fate's cruel twist. He was layered, proud, often harsh, and sometimes deeply insecure. After his first marriage ended in bitterness, he moved to Haridwar, carrying the weight of emotional scars and unfinished battles. Debt piled up. Legal troubles followed. His ego, already bruised, became a shield he wielded against the world. Yes, he owned a 3-storied house worth $350,000 and earned a steady rental income a month. But behind the facade of success, he was drowning in debt, nearly $21,000. Things got so bad that he was even jailed once for a bounced check. Struggling under pressure, Ravindra began considering selling the house to clear his dues. But his second wife, Reena Sindhu, strongly opposed the idea. To her, this wasn't just a house, it was a gold mine. Losing the property meant losing security, control, and passive income. And she wasn't willing to let that go. According to every report, this disagreement became the core of their conflict. He wanted to sell. She didn't. Simple on the surface, but it turned into something darker. Police confirmed this clash over property was the biggest source of tension between them. Neighbors, too, recalled hearing them argue about money almost daily. Reena herself had confided in others. This was a marriage cracking under financial stress. And then, Reena made her move. If you think an extramarital affair was the reason for murder, you're wrong. It was never about love, it was always about money. Reena allegedly promised her lover, Paritosh, a payment of $12,000, money she planned to extract from the sale of the very house she had once built with Ravindra. In simple terms, she offered cash for blood. Even more disturbing, after the murder, rumors suggest the duo may have celebrated right on Ravindra's property, relishing their bloody success atop the empire he had created. From the police's point of view, the motive was crystal clear: property, control, greed. They killed him for property and romance, one officer said bluntly. It's easy to paint Reena as a villain, a manipulative woman who planned a cold-blooded murder for personal gain, but the truth might be more layered. Ravindra himself wasn't a saint. Jail time, mounting debt, and a crumbling marriage had changed him. He may have grown controlling, bitter, or emotionally unstable. Reena, being younger, may have felt trapped in a toxic relationship. She could have felt used, stifled, or even endangered. The marriage had turned into a pressure cooker. Cracked trust, constant money fights, a partner with legal issues. And when someone feels cornered in their own home, desperation can turn into cruelty. But, make no mistake, this wasn't an impulsive act. From a psychological lens, this was a well-orchestrated murder. Reena and Paritosh tricked Ravindra, selected a weapon, and disposed of his body, all without flinching. Their methodical behavior shows this was a crime of intent, not rage. What makes this case truly chilling is Reena's double life. By day, she was a physiotherapist. She ran a clinic, looked after children, and projected the image of a nurturing caregiver, all while carrying the weight of a hidden murder. This calm, calculated behavior is often seen in people who plan their crimes meticulously and lack remorse. Reena used her professional identity to deflect suspicion. She acted as if nothing had happened. Worse still, some reports claim that before this incident, she had even tried hiring someone else to harm Ravindra. Even after the crime, Reena showed no signs of guilt. She returned to her daily routine. She stayed composed, lied to the police, and created cover stories, blaming money problems or emotional stress. There was no sign of mental instability, just cold, strategic lying. Paritosh, too, remained unemotional. His motive was simple: the reward. No love, no remorse. And as the case progressed, it became clear. This wasn't just a murder. It was a mirror to a growing pattern in modern crimes, where greed, manipulation, and emotional detachment replace all sense of right and wrong. It reminded many people of another shocking case, the killing of Raja during his honeymoon. In that case as well, Sonam Raghuvanshi, a 24-year-old woman, was accused of working with her lover, Raj Kushwaha, to murder her husband Raja, who was 29. Just like Reena Sindhu, Sonam had planned everything in advance. Both women told their husbands they were going on a fun trip to a quiet, hilly place. But in both cases, it was a trap. Their lovers were waiting. Ravindra was killed near Kotwar and left in a car. Raja's body was thrown into a deep valley in Meghalaya. In both cases, the wives had secret relationships and wanted money or a new life. They introduced their lovers to the husbands as brothers to avoid suspicion. They thought they had the perfect plan, but small mistakes gave them away. Reena was caught through CCTV and call records. Sonam was found on camera buying petrol and later running away to Uttar Pradesh. The reasons behind both murders were similar: secret love, dreams of a better life, and greed. Sonam and her lover admitted they wanted to grow their business together. Reena and Paritosh were also hoping to get money and continue their relationship. Police are now seeing a disturbing trend: wives taking their husbands on vacations and getting them killed in lonely, forested places. It's easy to hide such crimes in these remote areas. But in both stories, the killers were caught because of digital clues left behind. These crimes also show something very sad: how easily trust can be broken. Both Ravindra and Raja believed their wives. They thought they were on a romantic trip, but they never came back. People are calling this kind of crime betrayal in the hills. Reena's case is shocking, but seeing it happen before in Sonam's case makes it even scarier. It shows this wasn't just one rare act, it's part of a growing pattern. But what do you think? Was Reena purely evil, or was she a woman pushed to the edge? And Ravindra, was he a victim or part of a bigger, messier truth? Let us know in the comments. Is this just murder for money, or is there something darker that we haven't discovered yet? And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Stay curious, stay safe.